Hi, I'm Bill Berry. Welcome to my desert adventures. Today we'll be exploring some of the Desert Training Center's World War II camps and learn a little bit about the history that led to their development. My friends Sid Burks and Robert Marcos met me at my house where we planned a trip out to Camp Essex. It was about a 2.5-hour drive. Camp Essex is one of the 13 divisional camps that housed almost 30,000 men during World War II as part of the Desert Training Center. We're in search of two giant artifacts, a reservoir and an airport. My pilot friend Sid Burks told me about the airport, and I had actually seen it months before from Google Earth. The first time I saw it on Google Earth, I actually thought it was a Native American intaglio. But Sid told me it was a unique Desert Training Center airport, and we really needed to get out there and have a look at it. When we arrived, we set up our camp at one of the disbursement pads. This was a very unique airport in that they created several disbursement pads that made it difficult for the enemy to attack all of the planes at once, and the planes could be ready and get out to the airport quickly. There were 6 pads at each end of the airport where planes could be parked. From these pads, the planes could access the two 5,000-foot-long runways. This is an 80-year-old airport that was probably abandoned in the late 40s or early 50s. There's been no maintenance to it, so it's really not the kind of place that you can land a plane today. But I took a shot with my drone. As you can see, during one last flyover before the sun completely went down, this is quite the desolate area. There was nothing for miles. So we settled down for the evening, made our dinner, and enjoyed the cool desert air for a good night's sleep. Tomorrow we'll go explore and see if we can find the Essex Reservoir, which besides the airport is the other large artifact to be found in this area. Late that night we were awakened by a loud noise outside the camp, so we investigated. What the hell is that? What is that, Robert?
Symbolic. That is insane.
Wow. There were no vehicles, there was nothing in the area. I don't know what could have made the noise. But we found this cross with a feather tied to it and really couldn't figure out what it was. Getting back to sleep was a bit difficult. Well, we got up early, had breakfast, talked about last night's encounter, and then got ready to head out and search for the Essex Reservoir. As you can see from this Google Earth zoom in, the reservoir stands out quite clearly. The first time I saw it, I just couldn't figure it out. But once you get there, it's pretty obvious that it's a large concrete reservoir. Patton knew that the men had to have water, and this reservoir was their lifeline in the desert. They didn't have access to water here via the aqueduct. So this was one of the 2 major camps where they actually built their own reservoir, and I found, looking on Google Earth, what I thought was some sort of platform. And then as I zoomed in, you realize it's a circular reservoir, and after doing some research, found out that it held as much as 500,000 gallons. Here you can see the remnants of the concrete bases that held the pipes that exited the reservoir and led off to Camp Essex. Well, here's the remnants of the foundation that held the pipes for the water that was transported to the troops here at both Camp Clipper and Camp Essex. You can see that they had a main pipe going through here of some kind. There's an angular piece over here we'll take a look at in a minute. And then you can see one of the pipes coming out must have had a little right-hand turn, came over here, angled into the main pipe, and then was distributed off to the camp somehow. I heard they had water flowing by gravity to the camps, so guys could get water on a fairly regular basis. I think the water came in, they hoped for rain, and the rain would fill up the reservoir as much as possible, but they probably also trucked water in when they had to, particularly in the summer months. Well, from the reservoirs, we headed out to see if we could find the old small arms ranges that were supposed to be in the area. So this looks like it could be a small arms firing range where they would line troops all along here and be shooting in the direction of the berm. I don't know for sure, but it just looks like it. And you've got a nice flat area. They probably had all of this stuff cleared out at one time. and now it's kind of grown back. When I first looked at this at Google Earth, I couldn't tell if they were raised berms. I thought they might have been flat, but they're obviously raised berms that have been man-made. Although we weren't able to actually find any evidence that these were ranges, we're pretty sure we were in the correct area, and this is probably where they were doing their small arms training. Well, from here, we headed out to Camp Essex to see if we could find any artifacts remaining from the training area. We found old ration cans and discovered an old tire that was probably from that era, but other than that, we didn't have much luck. Well, the best part of our trip was that night we spent on the Essex airport. The beautiful sunset, being on that old historic airport, and enjoying a little bit of intrigue and mystery, all led to a great trip to the Camp Essex area. Thanks for sharing this desert adventure with us. We look forward to many more.